They tell you Alaska kills with cold. They're wrong. Alaska kills with warmth. And I know that sounds insane. Trust me, I've had 6 years of therapy trying to make sense of what happened in those Chugach Mountains. But when you find 2 college kids sitting cross-legged in a cave that shouldn't exist, their breath fogging in air that reads 60 degrees in October, when bioluminescent moss starts spelling out English words on cave walls that predate human civilization, you realize cold was never the real enemy up there. My name's Maria Santos. Staff Sergeant, retired. Though retired is what they stamp on your file when you've seen things that make brass nervous. I was a pararescue specialist with the 212th Rescue Squadron out of Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. JBER, we called it. Just outside Anchorage, to the 15th of October, 2024. Yeah, last month. This isn't some declassified Cold War ghost story. This happened 32 days ago. You ever notice how the worst calls come during dinner? I was halfway through reheated Thai food when my phone lit up. Major Reynolds, our operations commander. Voice like gravel in a blender, even on a good day. Santos, need you and a team airborne in 20. 2 hikers, University of Alaska, missed their check-in from Chugach Ridge. I stabbed my pad Thai with probably more violence than necessary. Another pair of Instagram philosophers who thought October was prime hiking season? Reynolds actually laughed. Dry as week-old bread. GPS last ping shows them 25 miles northeast. Aurora season. Santos. Kids probably wanted pretty pictures. Here's what civilians don't understand about Alaska SAR. The mountains don't care about your follower count. The Chugach Range has killed more people than most active war zones. Not with bullets or bombs, with geography that rewrites itself every winter and weather that turns from paradise to apocalypse in minutes. But hey, it pays the bills. Or it did. I assembled my usual team in the ready room. Technical Sergeant Kim, Korean-American kid from Texas who could navigate by starlight if he had to. Airman First Class Collins, fresh out of Indoc, still had that shine rookies get before Alaska sandblasts it off. And Senior Airman Davis, 6'4" of Georgia farm boy, who once carried a hypothermic hunter 3 miles through waist-deep snow. Collins was bouncing on his heels like a spaniel. First real mountain rescue, Sergeant. Kim didn't look up from his gear check. Kid, real rescues are boring. You find them, you haul them out, everyone goes home. It's the interesting ones that end careers. God. Kim had no idea how prophetic that was. The Pavehawk lifted off at 1,947 hours. That's 7:47 p.m. for you civilians keeping score. Northern Lights were putting on a show that night. Sheets of green fire rippling across the sky, like the atmosphere was bleeding color. Collins had his face pressed against the window until Davis smacked his helmet. Eyes on gear, rookie. Aurora's pretty until you're rappelling in the dark, and it's all you can see. Our pilot, Chief Warrant Officer Martinez, came over comms. Weather's holding steady, dropping you at 4,800 feet elevation. Last GPS ping shows the target's about 200 meters into a canyon, bearing 045 from your LZ. I pulled up the terrain maps on my tablet, frowned, pulled them up again. Martinez, you seeing this? Seeing what, Santos? This canyon? It's not on the USGS survey. There was a pause, the kind of pause that costs lives in combat zones. Probably a data error. These maps get updated maybe once a decade. Canyon could have formed from spring melt. Kim leaned over, studied my screen. His expression went carefully neutral, the face he made when something was wrong, but he didn't want to spook the new kid. Sergeant, he said quietly, canyons don't form in a single season. Not in granite. You ever stand somewhere that feels older than it should? Like, you know the geology, you understand plate tectonics and erosion, But your gut, that primitive part of your brain that kept your ancestors alive, starts screaming that this place has been waiting. That's what hit me when we fast roped onto that ridge. The temperature was -5 Celsius, about 23 Fahrenheit, but the air felt wrong, too still, like the mountain was holding its breath. Collins landed hard, stumbled, and Davis steadied him with one massive hand. "Easy, rookie. Mountain's watching." Collins laughed nervously. "Mountains don't watch, Davis. This one does." I should have paid more attention to that. Davis grew up in Appalachian hollers where people still leave bread on windowsills for things they won't name. He had instincts about places, but we had a job to do. The hikers' tracks were fresh, maybe 6 hours old. 2 sets of boot prints in the light snow, heading straight for a gap in the ridgeline that looked like God had taken an axe to the mountain. The canyon walls rose 80 feet on either side, black granite that ate our headlamp beams. Kim checked his GPS, frowned, checked it again. "Sergeant, we're getting interference. Solar activity from the aurora? No, this island. Different. Signal's strong, but the positioning keeps shifting. Like the satellites can't agree where we are." Collins, trying to be helpful, pulled out his phone. "I've got 3 bars of signal." "Put that away," I snapped. Maybe too harsh, but something about that canyon mouth made my teeth itch. We go old school. Compass and landmarks. We entered the canyon single file. Me on point, Kim behind me, Collins in the middle where we could watch him, Davis bringing up the rear. Our boots crunched on gravel that shouldn't have been there, too uniform, like it had been spread deliberately. The walls narrowed. 15 feet. 10 feet. At the narrowest point, Davis had to turn sideways to fit his pack through. And that's when we heard it. Beep, beep, beep. Emergency beacons, both of them pulsing in sync. Collins brightened. "They're alive." But Kim was staring at his equipment, face pale in the headlamp glow. "Santos, the depth reading." I looked. The beacons showed strong signal close, maybe 50 meters ahead. But the elevation data, that can't be right. According to the readings, the hikers were 800 feet below us, straight down, through solid rock. You know that feeling when reality hiccups? When your brain tries to process information that violates everything you know about how the world works? That's what we all felt, standing in that canyon, staring at impossible numbers on military-grade equipment that doesn't make mistakes. Davis broke the silence. "Maybe they fell into a crevasse? In granite?" Kim's voice pitched higher than normal. "Crevasses form in ice. Not there." Collins was pointing ahead, where the canyon dead-ended in a sheer wall. But at the base, barely visible in our converged headlamp beams, was an opening, not a crack or a cave mouth, an actual entrance, carved smooth as glass. And here's where things got interesting. You still with me? Because this is where most people check out. Say I'm lying or crazy or both. Warm air was flowing out of that cave in October. In Alaska, at 4,800 feet elevation, the snow around the entrance had melted in perfect concentric circles, like ripples in water. The exposed ground underneath was wrong too, not the brown of autumn earth, but black, volcanic black. Except there hasn't been volcanic activity in the Chugach Range for 60 million years. Collins reached for his phone again. "We should call this in." "No signal," Davis said quietly. He was right. Every device had gone dark. Not dead dark. Screens on, but showing nothing. Like the electronics were awake but blind. I made a command decision. The kind they either give you medals for or court-martial you over. We go in, quick extraction. Get the hikers and get out. Kim started to protest, but I cut him off. Those kids have been down there for hours. Every minute we debate is a minute they're closer to dead. I was wrong about that too. They weren't close to dead. They were close to something much worse. The rappelling gear felt heavier than it should have. You know how your equipment becomes part of you after enough years? Every carabiner, every rope, every piece of hardware is an extension of your body. But setting up that first anchor point, my hands felt clumsy, foreign, like the mountain was rejecting our presence through our own gear. 40-foot drop, Kim announced, shining his light down the entrance. Can't see the bottom clearly. Is that fog? It wasn't fog. It was steam. Actual steam. Rising from somewhere below. Carrying a smell that, how do I describe it? You ever smell something that's almost familiar, but wrong? Like someone cooking meat, but the meat isn't any animal you recognize? That's what wafted up from that hole. Davis blessed himself quick, subtle, but I caught it. Maybe we should. We're going, I said, clipping in. Collins, you stay topside. Keep trying the radio. If we're not back in 30 minutes. 45, Kim interrupted. Give us 45. I looked at him. He shrugged. Extraction always takes longer than insertion. Another unintentionally prophetic statement. I went first. That's the rule, leader leads from the front. The walls of the shaft were impossibly smooth, like glass, but not natural glass. Obsidian is smooth, sure, but this was different. Machined. Precise. My headlamp beam didn't reflect off it so much as get absorbed, pulled into the stone like the rock was drinking light. 20 feet down, the temperature jumped 10 degrees. 30 feet, another 10. By the time my boots hit the bottom, I was sweating inside my Arctic gear. The thermometer on my vest read 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Clear, I called up, my voice echoing wrong too many times, from too many directions. Kim came down next, then Davis, each landing with the same expression of confused discomfort. We were standing in a circular chamber about 20 feet across. The walls continued that impossible smoothness, but now there were patterns, geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly, like those optical illusions that flip between two images, except these kept flipping between existing and not existing. Sergeant, Davis's voice was barely a whisper. Look at the floor. The black stone beneath our boots had grooves carved into it. Channels, really, all flowing toward the center of the room where they met in a drain maybe 6 inches across. The grooves were stained darker than the surrounding stone. You don't need 3 guesses what caused those stains. The emergency beacons were louder now, their synchronized beeping echoing from a passage that opened on the far side of the chamber. But underneath the electronic sound was something else. A rhythm, almost like, is that breathing? Kim asked. It wasn't breathing, it was humming. Low, tuneless, but definitely human. We found them 50 feet down the passage, in another circular chamber, this one lit by something that shouldn't exist. Bioluminescent moss. Not the barely visible stuff you might find in some caves. This was bright. Pulsing. The entire ceiling was covered in it. Patterns of blue-green light that moved like writing. Like something was thinking in light above our heads. The 2 hikers sat in the exact center of the room, cross-legged, facing each other. Their eyes were open, tracking our movement, but nothing else about them seemed alive. No shivering, despite wearing only base layers. No acknowledgement of our presence except those moving eyes. Jake Morrison and Emily Chen, I said, reading from the missing persons report on my tablet, which had mysteriously started working again. We're with Air Force pararescue. We're here to help. Emily's head turned toward me. Slow, mechanical, like someone was puppeting her from inside. We're warm now, she said. Her voice was hers, but wasn't. You know how AI voices sound almost human? But there's something off in the uncanny valley? This was the opposite. Too human. Like someone had distilled the concept of human speech and injected it pure. Jake's head turned next. Same mechanical movement. So warm. And then the moss started spelling out words. You are welcome here. The letters formed in darkness, spaces where the moss went dim, creating voids in the blue-green light. Perfect English. Times New Roman font, if you can believe that. like something had pulled the most generic, recognizable typeface from our collective unconscious. Collins's voice crackled over the radio burst of static. Then, "Sergeant, you need to see. Cut off. Dead air." Kim had his weapon out. Not pointed at anything, just out. "Santos, we need to leave. Now." But I was still in rescue mode. Still thinking we could handle this like any other extraction. "Jake, Emily, can you stand?" They stood, both of them, in perfect synchronization, like marionettes pulled by the same hand. They volunteered to stay. The moss rearranged, letters flowing like liquid light. Davis made a sound I'd never heard from him, part laugh, part sob. "Moss doesn't know English," he said. "Neither do half my recruits," I shot back, trying to keep everyone grounded with humor. "Doesn't mean they can't learn." But my hand was on my sidearm now too. Emily took a step forward. Her pupils were blown wide, nothing but black circles eating up the brown of her irises. "We found the warm place, the place that waits. It's been waiting so long." Jake moved next, that same puppet string motion. "It gets so cold up there. But down here is warmth forever. You may leave." They chose differently. "Bullshit," Kim spat. "Nobody chooses this." The moss flared brighter. Angry? Amused? Who could tell? "I have been here before your kind drew breath. I will be here after your sun grows cold. Choice is all I offer. Santos." Davis's voice was steady, but I could hear the fear underneath. My grandmother told stories about things that live in the deep places, things that trade in warmth and comfort for what? He looked at me, and I saw his pupils were starting to dilate too. For staying. That's when I realized we'd been down there for 2 hours. My watch said 20 minutes. The atmospheric pressure gauge said we were at sea level. The GPS said we were somehow inside Mount Denali, 200 miles away. Every instrument gave a different, impossible reading, but the moss kept writing. "Time moves as I wish here. Your aircraft circled thrice. Your companion above has been calling for 6 hours. He sounds frightened." I tried my radio. Nothing but static that almost sounded like laughter. "We're taking them," I decided. "Kim, Davis, grab them. We're leaving." Emily and Jake didn't resist when Kim and Davis took their arms, but they did speak. In unison, in a voice that wasn't theirs anymore. "You can't take us. We're part of it now. We're the warm thoughts in the cold mountain. We're the dream it dreams." The moss began moving faster, words appearing and disappearing almost too quickly to read. "Stay, stay, stay. The cold comes for all. But here is warm. Here is forever. Here is move," I shouted. We ran, dragged the hikers through that passage, their feet moving but not helping, like they were pretending to run. The chamber with our ropes was different now. The geometric patterns on the walls were moving, shifting, forming new shapes that made my eyes water. "The ropes," Kim shouted. They were still there, but wrong. We'd rappelled down 40 feet. The ropes now disappeared into darkness above, no end in sight. Davis started climbing anyway. "Only way out is up." I tried my radio one more time. "Collins, if you can hear this, we need..." "Sergeant?" Collins's voice, clear as day. "You've been gone 8 minutes. Everything okay?" 8 minutes. We'd been down there for hours. I know we had. My body knew it, exhaustion in my muscles, that deep tired you get after a long operation. "Collins, listen carefully. Start winching. All of us. Now." "But you haven't been. Now. You want to know what infinity feels like? It's climbing a 40-foot rope for 300 feet and still not seeing the top." Kim went first with Emily. She didn't help or hinder, just hung there like dead weight that happened to be breathing. The winch-strained Collins had attached it to the Hawk's rescue hoist, and I could hear the engine screaming topside, But progress was slow, too slow. The moss had followed us into the shaft, creeping up the walls like luminous ivy, spelling out messages. The arrangement is simple. Leave one, take one. Fair trade. Warm for cold. Keep climbing, I ordered, though we were mostly being pulled now. Jake started laughing. Soft at first, then louder. It's in me now. In my blood. Every heartbeat pumps its warmth through me. I'll never be cold again. Never lonely. Never afraid. Davis, who was hauling Jake up, muttered prayers in Georgian, his grandmother's language. But something was wrong with Davis, too. His movements were getting sluggish, mechanical. Davis, stay with me. He turned his head to look at me, and his pupils were full black now. It makes sense, Sergeant. Why fight the cold up there when there's warmth down here? Why be alone when you can be part of something older than mountains? The rope kept going up. 50 feet. 100. 200. My altimeter was spinning like a slot machine. We were simultaneously at bedrock and in the stratosphere. We were in the mountain and outside it. We existed in multiple places at once, and all of them were wrong. The arrangement stands. Choose who stays, or I choose for you. Nobody stays, I growled, though I was starting to feel it too. The warmth, not just physical, emotional, like being held by someone who loves you, like coming home after the worst day of your life and finding comfort waiting. Collins's voice on the radio, panicked now. Sergeant, something's wrong with the winch. You're coming up, but the rope isn't getting shorter. It's like it's creating more rope as it pulls. Kim reached the top first, or what should have been the top. But instead of the cave entrance, he found another chamber. This one filled with bones. Human bones. Ancient and modern mixed together. Some still had patches of flesh. Others were polished white with age. All arranged in perfect spirals. Like someone had been making art with death for centuries. Wrong way, Kim said, his voice flat. This isn't the way we came. But it was. Our markers were there. Our gear. Just. Different. Older. Like we'd left it years ago instead of hours. Jake and Emily began speaking in harmony. The Tlingit knew about this place. Called it the mouth that swallows warmth. The Russians found it in 1794. Lost 6 men. The Americans in 1867. Lost 12. Were just the newest offerings. The mountain must feed. I felt my mind starting to slip. Starting to accept it. Why not stay? Why return to a world of cold and duty and death, when here was warmth eternal? Then Collins did something brilliant and stupid. He cut the rope. We fell up. I know, that makes no sense. Nothing about that place made sense. But when Collins cut that rope, gravity reversed, and we fell toward the surface like the mountain was vomiting us out. I landed hard on ice-covered rock, gasping in Arctic air that burned my lungs but cleared my head. Kim was beside me, coughing. Jake and Emily lay motionless but breathing. Davis wasn't there. Where's Davis? I scrambled to the cave entrance, looked down. The shaft was gone. Solid. Stone where the opening had been, covered in a thin layer of ice that couldn't have formed in the 10 minutes or 8 minutes or 6 hours or however long we'd been down there. Collins was standing by the hawk, pale and shaking. Sergeant, I had to. The rope was pulling the bird down. We were tilting, about to crash. And You did right? I said, though my heart was hammering. Davis? Kim was scanning the area with thermal imaging. No heat signature. He's not here. The Moss's final message burned in my mind. Leave one, take one. We'd taken 2, Jake and Emily, so it had kept Davis. Fair trade by its logic. We go, now. I started loading Jake and Emily into the hawk. They didn't resist, didn't help, just existed in that horrible passive state. As we lifted off, I looked back at where the cave entrance had been. For just a second, I swear I saw Davis standing there, warm, smiling, waving goodbye. Then the mountains swallowed him, and he was gone. The report I filed was a masterpiece of military fiction. Successful rescue of 2 civilians from weather-related distress. 1 team member suffered equipment failure resulting in a fall. Body unrecoverable due to unstable terrain conditions. That's what's on record. That's what Davis's family was told. Training accident. Hero's death. Full honors at the funeral. But here's what really happened after we landed. Jake and Emily were medically fine. Perfect, actually. Body temperature normal. No frostbite. No hypothermia. But they couldn't or wouldn't speak about what happened. When questioned, they'd just say they felt warm and wanted to go back. They were transferred to Joint Base Lewis, McCord Psychiatric Ward. Last I heard, they're still there. Still asking to go back to the mountain. The Pavehawk's flight recorder showed something impossible. According to the instruments, we never landed. The bird hovered at 4,800 feet for exactly 8 minutes, then returned to base. No gap in the recording, no evidence of the hours we experienced, but Collins knew, Kim knew, and I knew. Kim put in for immediate transfer. Got it? He's stationed in Florida now, as far from mountains as you can get. We don't talk about what happened, but he sends me a text every the 15th of October. Just one word. Warm? I respond with one word. Cold. It's our way of checking that we're still us. Still choosing the cold over that thing's warmth. Collins lasted 3 weeks before the dreams started. Dreams of Davis calling him, telling him about the warm place, asking him to come back. He went AWOL one night. Security cameras showed him walking off base, heading northeast toward the Chugach Range. They found him 2 days later at the exact coordinates where we'd landed, sitting cross-legged in the snow, catatonic. Core body temperature was 62 degrees in sub-zero weather. He's with Jake and Emily now. Same ward, same requests to go back. And Davis? 3 weeks after the mission, I drove past Davis's house in Anchorage. His wife had already moved back to Georgia with the kids. Too many memories, she said. But the house wasn't empty. Every light was on, every single one. At 3 a.m., I sat in my car for an hour, watching. No shadows moved inside, no sign of life, but those lights stayed on. I came back the next night, and the next, same thing. On the 4th night, I saw him, Davis, standing in the living room window, solid as you or me. He saw me, smiled and waved. That same wave he'd given as the mountain swallowed him. I got out of my car, walked to the front door. It was locked, but I still had the spare key from when I'd helped him move in 2 years ago. The house was empty. No furniture, no Davis. Just lights burning in empty rooms and that smell meat cooking, but wrong meat and warm. So warm I had to strip off my jacket within seconds. On the kitchen counter was a note, my name on the envelope. Inside, in Davis's handwriting, "It's not so bad, Santos. The warm place keeps its promises. I'm never cold, never alone. It has so many stories to tell from so many who came before. The Tlingit shaman who traded his tribe's future for eternal warmth. The Russian explorer who gave his men to learn the mountain's secrets. The gold miners in 1898 who found the cave and never left. We're all here, all warm, all waiting. It wants you to know the offer stands. You saved 2, but you lost 2, me and Collins. The trade is unbalanced. It likes balance. Come back. Bring one more. Take one more. Or just come back yourself. The entrance moves, but you'll find it. Those it calls always find it. Stay warm. Davis, P.S. Your daughter's name is Sarah, right? Pretty name. The mountain likes pretty names. I don't have a daughter. Never have. But after reading that note, I started checking. Birth records, DNA tests, nothing. But every October, I get mail addressed to Maria Santos at my address. I burn them unopened. Here's something that'll really bake your noodle. You following all this? Good. Because this is where the military brass comes in, and it gets properly dark. 2 days after I found that note, Major Reynolds called me in, not to his office, to a conference room in the basement of the medical center, the kind with no windows and a lock that requires 2 keys. There were 3 people waiting: Reynolds, a woman in a suit who never gave her name, and an old man in a wheelchair who wore eagles on his shoulders, full bird, colonel, but no name tag, no unit insignia. The woman spoke first. "Sergeant Santos, what you encountered has been encountered before." She slid a folder across the table. Classified stamps so thick you could barely read the title. Operation Thermal Comfort, 1973. Inside were photos, black and white. A team of Army Rangers standing at a cave entrance that looked exactly like ours, except the mountain behind them was different. The Rockies, maybe. Their faces were scratched out with black marker. 12 men went in, the colonel said. His voice was like sandpaper on stone. 2 came out. The rest are still listed as MIA. I flipped through more photos. The Himalayas, 1,984. 6 British SAS, 1 survivor. The Andes, 1,991. Chilean Special Forces, no survivors, but 1 man found catatonic at base camp, body temperature reading tropical despite freezing conditions. "It moves," the woman said. "The entrance, never the same place twice in a row, but always in mountains, always in the cold places, and always," she paused, choosing her words carefully, "always offering the same trade. Warmth for staying," I finished. She nodded. "The Soviets had a name for it. Teplovoye Gnezdo, the warm nest. They lost an entire Spetsnaz unit in the Urals in 1978. The survivors claimed the mountain itself was alive, that it collected people like trophies." Reynolds leaned forward. "Santos, we need to know, did it communicate with you directly?" I thought about the moss, the messages, Davis's note. "Yes." The 3 of them exchanged looks. The colonel wheeled himself closer. "Then you're marked. It knows you now. You'll feel it calling, especially during the cold months." "Is that why Collins went back?" "Collins was weak," the woman said flatly. "The entity, for lack of a better term, seeks those with strong connections, family bonds, deep friendships. It uses those connections as leverage. Like Davis mentioning my non-existent daughter." Another exchange of looks. The woman pulled out a tablet, typed something, showed it to me. A birth certificate. Maria Santos, born the 15th of October, 2024. The day of the mission. Mother's name, Emily Chen. Emily Chen. The hiker we rescued. That's impossible. She's been in psychiatric hold since proof. She's been in psychiatric hold, the colonel confirmed. And she's never been pregnant. Medical exams confirm it. But the documentation exists. The entity doesn't just affect physical space, Sergeant. It affects information, records, reality itself. Perhaps. My hands were shaking. "What do you want from me?" "Silence," Reynolds said. "Complete silence. You tell no one. You write nothing down. You don't even think about it too hard. And if you feel the call, when you feel the call, you contact us immediately." "And Davis?" "His family thinks he's dead." "Davis is dead," the woman said. "What you saw in that house was an echo, a projection. The entity keeping its promise of warmth in the only way it can, by making us think the taken are still alive, still happy. But I knew better. That wave, That smile. That note. Davis was something now. But dead, wasn't it? I did my own research after that meeting. Carefully. Quietly. Using skills I'd learned in combat search and rescue to search and rescue information. Turns out, every culture that's lived near mountains has stories about the warm places. The Tibetans call them comfort caves and leave offerings to keep them closed. The Incas had a god of underground warmth that demanded human sacrifice. The Norse told of giants who lived in heated halls beneath the ice, luring warriors with promises of eternal feast and fire. But here's the kicker: you want to know what really messed me up? The patterns. Every disappearance linked to these things follows a pattern. It starts with 2 people going missing. Then a rescue team finds them. The rescue team loses 1 member. Within a month, someone connected to the rescue goes back. Then someone else. Then someone else. Like a virus. But instead of spreading sickness, it spreads invitation. I mapped out 6 decades of training accidents and equipment failures in mountain regions, connected them to missing persons reports, cross-referenced with psychiatric admissions for thermal delusions, people found in freezing conditions with impossible body temperatures. The pattern holds every single time. 2 go missing, 1 rescuer stays, others follow, and it's accelerating. In the 1,960 seconds, there were maybe 2 or 3 incidents per decade globally. In the 2,000 seconds, we're seeing 2 or 3 per year. This October alone, there have been 5 that match the pattern. Alaska, Nepal, Peru, Switzerland, Japan, all mountains, all cold, all offering warmth. The woman in the suit contacted me last week. Not a call or email, she just appeared in my kitchen at 2 a.m., sitting at my table like she'd been invited. "It's moving again," she said. Mount Rainier. 2 climbers missing. Local search and rescue is mobilizing. Warn them off. We can't. How do we explain? Tell them not to rescue civilians because a cave might eat them? They'd go anyway. Heroes always do. She slid another folder across my table. Inside, photos of the 2 missing climbers. Young couple. Engagement photos on Instagram from last month. They looked happy, in love, the kind of people who deserve rescue. "We need someone who understands," she said. "Someone who's been inside and came back. Someone it marked but didn't take. I'm retired. From the Air Force, not from this." I looked at those photos, thought about Davis, about Collins, about Jake and Emily still asking to go back to the mountain. If I go alone. Negative. Full team. But you choose them. People you trust. People who will listen when you say run. I said no. Told the suit lady to find another sucker. Told her I was done with mountains. Done with rescue. Done with whatever that thing was. I'd moved to Phoenix specifically to get away from cold places. I was working private security. Easy money. No caves. No impossible physics. No moss that writes messages. She left without argument. Too easy. Should have been my first warning. That night, the dreams started. Not nightmares. That's what's insidious about this thing. It doesn't terrorize you into submission. It seduces you. In the dreams, I'm back in the cave. But it's not dark. It's beautiful. Bioluminescent patterns painting stories across the walls. The history of everything. The future of everything. All told in living light. Davis is there. And he's not dead or corrupted. He's just complete. Like he found the answer to every question he'd ever had. "It's not what you think," he tells me in the dream. "It's not evil. It's just old and lonely and cold. It offers warmth because that's all it wants, to be warm, to have company in the dark places." Emily and Jake are there too, and they're dancing. Actually dancing in that cosmic light. and they look happier than any human has a right to look. Collins appears last, and he's painting. Always wanted to be an artist, Collins did. Before the Air Force, before duty. In the dream, he's painting the cave walls with light itself, creating beauty that makes me weep. Come back, they all say. Bring others. Share the warmth. I wake up sweating. Phoenix. Desert heat. Safe. But my breath fogs when I exhale. 3 nights of those dreams. 3 nights of waking up to find frost on my windows in Arizona. My thermostat reading 90 degrees while ice forms on my coffee mug. On the 4th night, Sarah visited. The daughter I don't have. Never had. Can't have medical impossibility after an IED in Afghanistan took care of that option. But there she was, 6 years old. My eyes, Emily Chen's face, sitting on the edge of my bed. Daddy, I'm cold. I couldn't move. Sleep paralysis, I told myself. Stress hallucination. The mountain is cold too, she said. It's been cold for so long, but you could make it warm. You know how. Bring people. Feed it warmth. And it will give me to you. Real. Alive. Your daughter. She reached for my hand. Her touch was solid. Real. Warm. I jerked away. Fell off the bed. Scrambled for the light switch. The room was empty, but on my nightstand was a crayon drawing. A stick figure family, man, woman, child, standing in front of a glowing cave. Our warm home. Written in shaky child letters across the top. I burned it. The smoke smelled like Davis's house, like meat that isn't meat. The next morning, the suit lady was in my kitchen again. The Rainier climbers have been missing for 6 days, she said. Local SAR is planning to go in tomorrow. I poured coffee with shaking hands. It's showing me things. A daughter. Promises. It's escalating. You're the strongest anchor it's had in decades. Someone who went in, came out, and resisted the call. It wants you back. Why? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, we think it learns. Every person it takes, it absorbs their knowledge, their memories, their connections. Davis was Air Force. Now it understands military protocol. Emily was a biochemistry major. Now it knows how to affect human physiology. Jake was computer science. Now it can alter digital records. I finished. Like Sarah's birth certificate. Exactly. And you? You're a rescue specialist. You know how to find people, how to save them. Imagine what it could do with that knowledge. The coffee mug cracked in my hand. Hot liquid everywhere, but I barely felt it. It wants me to teach it how to rescue people, how to draw them in more effectively. We believe so, yes. And if I don't go to Rainier? If those local search and rescue teams go in blind? She pulled out her tablet, showed me statistics, probability models, projected casualties. Best case? They lose 3 team members. Worst case? The entire unit. 12 people. I want you to understand something. Whoever's listening to this, reading this, whatever. I didn't go back because I'm a hero. Heroes don't exist. Just people who can't live with certain types of guilt. I went back because I couldn't have 12 more ghosts visiting my dreams. Mount Rainier, the 2nd of November, 2024. 2 days ago, as I record this, the team I assembled, Martinez, the pilot from the original mission, I figured he deserved to know what he'd been hovering over. A Navy SEAL named Thompson, who'd lost his entire squad to avalanche in Tibet, that left no snow displacement, and a climber named Yuki, who'd survived something similar on Fuji but never reported it. We inserted at dawn. No official mission this time. We were off the books. Ghosts rescuing ghosts. The entrance was exactly where the missing climber's GPS last pinged. Different mountain, same smooth cave mouth, same impossible warmth flowing out, same concentric circles of melted snow. But this time, there were flowers growing around the entrance. Tropical flowers. In November, at 9,000 feet, birds of paradise, orchids, lotus blossoms, all wrong, all impossible, all beautiful. Thompson touched one, and his eyes went wide. They're real. They're actually real. Yuki was scanning with equipment I didn't recognize, something the suit lady had provided. Temporal distortion is off the charts. This entrance has been here for 600 years? No, 6 minutes. Number. She shook her head. The readings keep changing. It's showing off, I said. It knows we know what it island. Martinez stayed with the bird lesson learned from last time. We rigged proper belay systems, backup ropes, emergency ascenders. If physics went sideways again, we'd be ready. The descent was different this time. The walls showed us things, not patterns or moss, but images, like living photographs in the stone. Davis, teaching a classroom full of people I didn't recognize, all sitting in that same cross-legged position, all with those black eyes, all smiling. Emily and Jake, but older, decades older, standing in a garden made of that bioluminescent moss, tending plants that shouldn't exist. Collins, painting murals on cave walls that extended forever in all directions. Each mural showing a different person's life, their memories, their loves, their losses. And Sarah, my impossible daughter, growing up in fast forward on the walls. Baby, toddler, child, teenager, adult, growing old, dying, being reborn, again and again, in endless loops. Jesus, Thompson whispered. No, Yuki said, reading her instruments. Something much older. We found the Rainier climbers 200 feet down, in a chamber filled with ice sculptures, except the ice was warm to the touch. The sculptures were of people, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all carved in perfect detail. The climbers sat in the center, carving new sculptures with their bare hands. Their fingers were bloody, worn to bone in places, but they worked with absolute focus. Rebecca Marsh, David Winters. I called out, "We're here to extract you." They didn't look up. "Can't leave yet," Rebecca said. Her voice was sing-song, like a child's. "Haven't finished the family." She was carving a man's face. I recognized it from the missing persons file her father. He'd died when she was 12. David was carving a woman, his wife, who'd left him last year. "It promises to make them real," David said. "If we finish them, if we get every detail right, they'll be warm and real and here forever." The walls began to write. Not moss this time, the ice itself formed letters. "They are happy, they have purpose. What do you offer that compares?" "Freedom," I said. The laughter that filled that chamber didn't come from any human throat. It came from the mountain itself, from every surface, from inside our own skulls. Freedom to what? Die cold? Die alone? Die forgotten? I offer memory, warmth, eternal purpose. You offer imprisonment, Yuki said, surprising me. Beautiful imprisonment, but imprisonment nonetheless. The ice letters shifted. "The physicist speaks." "Yes, I know you, Yuki Tanaka. Mount Fuji, 2019. You left your brother. He's happy now. Would you like to see?" The ice sculptures began moving. One of them, a young Japanese man, stepped out of formation, walked toward us, became flesh and blood and warm as he moved. "Sister," he said, "I've missed you." Yuki's breath hitched. Her brother had been dead for 5 years. The Fuji incident she survived, he hadn't. But here he was, solid, real, warm. I'm running out of time to tell this story. The suit lady gave me 12 hours to record everything before they debrief me, scrub me, make me forget, if they can. So I'm talking fast now, trying to get it all down, trying to make you understand. Yuki's brother wasn't a projection, wasn't an echo. When she touched him, he was real. Body heat, pulse, breath that fogged in the cave air. He knew things only her brother would know. Childhood memories, secret nicknames, the song their mother sang when they were scared. "It's not possible," Thompson said, but his voice was uncertain. Because we were all thinking the same thing. What if it was? What if this thing, this entity, this ancient whatever it was, could actually do what it promised? Bring back the lost? Give us warmth in the cold emptiness of existence? The ice kept forming words. I do not lie. I cannot lie. I am older than deception. I take, yes, but I give. Fair trade. Always fair. Show me Davis, I said. The sculptures moved again. Davis stepped out, but not the Davis from the house. The real Davis. The one who'd saved my life in Kandahar before we'd ever heard of Alaska. The one who'd been best man at my wedding before the divorce. The one who'd held me when I broke down after losing 3 squad members to an IED. Hey, Santos, he said. And God help me. It was him. Every detail. Even the scar on his eyebrow from when we'd gotten drunk and he'd tried to prove he could backflip off a table. You're not real. Real as I ever was. Maybe more real. Up there, I was just meat and memory trapped in a skull. Here, I'm part of something infinite. I can be everywhere, every when. I can visit my kids without them seeing me, watch them grow up, keep them warm on cold nights. You're a prisoner. He laughed, that specific Davis laugh that started in his belly. We're all prisoners, Santos. Prisoners of time, of biology, of entropy. At least here, the cage is beautiful. Rebecca and David had stopped carving. They were watching us with those dilated eyes. But there was something else there now. Awareness. Choice. We want to stay, Rebecca said. We really do. It's not forcing us. It's offering us everything we've ever wanted. Your families will grieve and move on, David interrupted. Just like they would if we died on this mountain. But we're not dead. We're transforming. Thompson had his weapon out. This is insane. We grab them and go. Now. The temperature dropped 40 degrees in an instant. Ice covered everything, our gear, our ropes, our skin. Thompson's weapon cracked and fell apart in his hands. Rude. I offer choice. I demand courtesy. Choose now. Take 2. Leave 2. Or leave all. Or stay all. But choose. I'll stay. Yuki's voice cut through the frozen air. She was holding her brother's hand. Yuki. No, I left him once, she said. On Fuji. I cut his rope to save myself. The report said he fell, but I cut it. I chose to live and let him die. I've been cold ever since. Empty. Going through motions. Her brother squeezed her hand. I never blamed you. I know. That makes it worse. She looked at me. Take the climbers. Thompson, Santos, take them and go. I'm the trade. We don't trade people, Thompson growled. Then we all stay, Yuki said simply. That's what it's offering. And honestly, look at them. She gestured at Davis, at her brother, at the impossible garden of ice. Are they suffering? Are they in pain? Or are they just different? I want to tell you, I argued, that I fought, that I found some clever solution that saved everyone. But I didn't, because I was tired. So, freaking tired of being cold. Not physically cold, spiritually cold. Empty. Since Afghanistan. Since the divorce. Since losing Davis the first time. And there he was, offering me his hand. Come on, Santos. You know, you want to. No more nightmares. No more guilt. Just warmth and purpose and family. Sarah appeared beside him. My impossible daughter. 6 years old forever. Please, Daddy. I want to be real. The worst part, the absolute worst part, it wasn't a lie. Somehow, I knew deep in my bones that this entity could do it, could make her real, could give me the family the IED had stolen. could give me back Davis and Collins and everyone I'd ever lost. All I had to do was stay. "Sergeant!" Thompson's voice snapped me back. "We need a decision. Now." I looked at the climbers, at Yuki, at Davis, at my daughter who never was, and I made the only choice I could live with. We take the climbers. Yuki stays. Thompson and I leave. Santos. That's an order, Thompson. The ice letters formed one last time. Acceptable. The physicist for the couple. Balance maintained. Until next time. Massachusetts, Maria Santos. And there will be a next time. The climb out took 3 minutes. Should have been impossible. We descended for 20 minutes. But the cave pushed us out like we were being born. The climbers came willingly, their eyes clearing as we reached sunlight. Yuki stayed below with her brother. Her last words, "Tell them I fell. Tell them it was quick." We flew back in silence. Filed reports full of lies. 2 climbers recovered. 1 team member lost to equipment failure. Standard tragedy. Standard heroism. But last night, Yuki texted me from her phone that should be dead. From underground where no signal reaches. Just a photo. Her and her brother, and Davis, and Collins, and a dozen others I didn't recognize, sitting around a table made of warm ice, sharing a meal that couldn't exist in a garden at the heart of a mountain. They were smiling, really smiling. And God help me, part of me wishes I'd stayed. Why I'm telling you this. The suit lady will be here in an hour to collect this recording, to debrief me, to make me forget, if they can. But I made copies, hidden them, uploaded them to servers that don't officially exist. Because you need to know, not to avoid mountains, not to fear caves, but to understand that there's something out there that offers a different kind of existence. Not death, not life, something else. And it's spreading. Every person it takes becomes a recruiter. Every mind it absorbs makes it smarter. It knows physics now, from Yuki. Medicine, from the doctors it's collected. Military tactics, from Davis and Collins and me. It's learning how to be human while staying inhuman. If you're listening to this in Alaska, check your thermometer. If it's reading warmer than it should, you're close to an entrance. If you're on Rainier, or Denali, or Fuji, or any of 100 peaks around the world, and you find a cave that shouldn't exist, warm air that defies physics, moss that spells out messages, don't automatically run, but don't automatically stay. Make your choice with open eyes, because that's all it really wants. Choice, conscious decision, free will selecting warmth over cold. Some days, especially now in November, with winter coming and my apartment so empty and quiet, I think Yuki made the right call. Thompson's thinking the same. I can see it in his eyes when we pass in the commissary. That question, what if? What if warmth is better than cold? What if together is better than alone? What if the entity isn't evil, just different? What if the real horror isn't the thing in the mountain, it's the world outside that makes the mountain's offer so tempting? My name is Maria Santos, former Staff Sergeant, United States Air Force pararescue. I've saved 43 lives in my career. I've lost 6. 4 of those 6 are still alive, depending on how you define alive. They're warm. They seem happy. They want me to join them. Every night the dreams get stronger. Sarah gets more real. The cold gets colder. The loneliness gets heavier. Last night I booked a flight to Alaska. I canceled it this morning. Tonight, I'll book it again. The suit lady just texted. She's 5 minutes out. Before I forget, before they make me forget, I need you to understand one last thing. We think we're exploring space to find alien life. We're sending messages to the stars, hoping for an answer. But there's something already here. Something that's been here longer than us. Something that doesn't want to conquer or destroy. It just wants company. And the terrible, beautiful truth? So do we. So do I. If you're near a mountain and you hear someone calling your name on a warm wind that shouldn't exist, actually, you know what? Make your own choice. We all have to, eventually, either in the cold outside or the warmth below. My name was Maria Santos, and I think I'm going back. Note: this account was recovered from encrypted servers after Staff Sergeant Maria Santos was reported AWOL on the 5th of November, 2024. Her last known location was a flight to Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport. She has not been seen since. If you have information regarding her whereabouts, do not approach. Contact military authorities immediately. The house where Airman Davis lived continues to have all lights on, 24/7. It has been empty for 43 days. The warmth remains.